Welcome to the Upholstery Show, live from Arlington, Massachusetts. We're going to serve you up a beautiful bowl of coconut fiber. Really? Well, here we go. We were just talking about that introduction and how maybe we're going to change it. So maybe we'll get you voting on that, you guys. If you like that, let us know. But
if you want to continue torturing Jimmy,
thank you guys. Thank
option
you.
number one.
Nobody told you to speak to today, Patrick.
Well, I'm the one that's waiting on him. I mean, come on. We were talking about.
We're related to him.
Oh yeah, I guess so. But we were talking about how we maybe would take a world tour of batting. You know, we can go to Poland for our horse hair. We go to Hawaii for our coconut
we're going to
fiber.
go on our good looks because we're not going to go far. I can tell you that.
I know. I keep talking about it, but we're not. I think
I think we have to start a GoFund or kind of like maybe that millionaire will drive down Broadway and say, "Hey, I know, I've heard of those guys."
Those GoFunds are tricky, Jimmy. You know. Anyhow.
Did you hear about? Not to cut you off.
Yeah, I did hear about that. They didn't make much money.
Oh, $11, and you know the woman that started it? She started it with $5.
Oh well.
Really?
They didn't ask for it. Come on, in all fairness. Anyhow.
Well, I understand that, but the woman who started, usually you say, okay, I'm going to start with $1,000.
Oh, right. Just to get a kickstart.
Yeah. There you go.
That's another one.
That's another.
Yeah, it's called Kickstarter.
I know. So anyhow, you guys, we have a lot to cover. The first thing I want to say is we're approaching 14,000 subscribers, and that's fantastic. So keep on doing that, you guys. I was listening to another YouTube channel, and they were also complaining about the low ratio between people subscribing and people watching. It's like if you're lucky, you're doing 10% of that. Like out of 100, 10 people are subscribing. Okay. Believe it or not. But they were complaining on their site. It was like 5 out of 100. So they were complaining about that a little bit. I'm not complaining because I love the fact that I've almost 14,000. That's almost what? How many Boston Garden? How many fans is Boston Garden? Jimmy.
Oh God, I don't know. I thought about 30,000.
30,000. Yeah. See. So half of that's a lot of people, and so we're happy about that. And
all I know is we're having fun when we had 1 subscriber.
Yeah, when we had 1 subscriber. I wonder who the first subscriber was, Pat.
I think it was,
probably Jimmy.
Do you think it was Jimmy?
Yeah, I started that ball rolling, and I'll look at it. And what do I get? Nada.
I told you, the platform shoes for your raise are coming in.
Those wooden ones, what'd you do, take them from the pallet out back?
Who wears wooden shoes anymore, anyhow?
Are
they still around?
They're
Can you
still
get
a
those?
fashion statement somewhere in this world.
I bet you they are, Jimmy. I bet you. I wonder what type of wood they use.
Let's go down, what is it, not Berkeley Street, what is the other one?
All I know is you want to avoid the cement shoes, Jimmy.
Yes.
You want to avoid those.
I heard those are very heavy.
Especially if you're on a pier somewhere on Boston Harbor. Oh, there's a funny segment. I know we're a little off subject here, you guys.
You guys just started.
You're probably hating us. Get to the upholstery, they're saying. But there's a funny one of who were the comedic who was the comedic Laurel and Hardy.
Okay.
And they got their feet in these round, kind of cemented into these like round, containers of some sort.
Okay.
And their feet dried, and you got to see this.
Oh, that was more Larry and Curly, didn't he?
No. This was Laurel and Hardy. I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
But it's so funny seeing them going back and forth. And anyhow, I guess you had to see.
Gabrielle says hello.
Hi, Gabrielle. Oh, thank you.
Anne Marie and John from Ireland are here.
Anne Marie and from Ireland. Happy St. Patrick's Day, Jimmy. What
did you have your corned beef yesterday?
I did. I waited in line for mine. Wasn't made for me. We picked it up at a local funny farm here in Massachusetts. And I say funny because there must have been 10,000 people waiting for their corned beef. You wouldn't believe it.
You didn't go to a local supermarket?
No, we went and bought it at a farm, and as soon as they were putting the corned beef and cabbage out, it was taken up and it was eaten. Not eaten, but taken.
It's also Mother's Day over in Ireland.
Mother's Day was
Happy Mother's Day.
Sunday, I think, was Mother's Day, Patrick.
Was it?
Over in Ireland, yeah. And so hello to all our friends all over the world. What type of batting do you think they have in Ireland? I want to say...
Shamrocks.
What? Clovers. No, you can't. I wonder if you could stuff a cushion with clovers. Hey, Jimmy, you might have something there.
That wouldn't last very long.
I'll be there for quite a while doing that. Give me one of those extras.
That's... That's the idea, to send you to Ireland, to tell you to stuff cushions full of clovers. And
Someone will claim me as a dependent.
Oh,
that
boy.
long lost son they never had.
I'll make your task a little harder. Only 4-leaf clovers to be stuffed.
Oh,
No 3-leaf.
I'm gonna be retiring now. We'll do a continental continental show.
Actually, I'm in a really good mood because Jimmy. We'll get to Jimmy later, but he can always chime in when he wants. But we got a lot done on his settee today. We sewed the cover, almost finished sewing the cover together today, and we'll get to that. I'll have Jimmy come up here and talk about that. And I've got another projects I want to show you. I've got a funny story to talk about one of the old YouTube things that I did. And sometimes, I like to talk too on the YouTube channel. Somebody didn't particularly like something I said. This is pretty funny, and I'll get to that in a minute. But I did want to, before that, want to talk about the forum. And Jimmy, thank you for doing the administrative duties on the forum.
I love it. It's great when I can see new people all the time wanting to be part of the fan club, and it's great.
Thank you. And there are like 200. I noticed a comment you made about pin tacking, and I think you confused that with decorative tacking.
Yes.
But
did
that's okay, because it dawned on me that you weren't so wrong about it, because Restoration Hardware, we usually pin tack with 6-ounce tacks just to stabilize the cover, and then take them out as needed. But Restoration Hardware, which is a store that people just love it. It's that deconstruction furniture. It's deconstructed. You know what I mean? It's not all the way upholstered.
Right.
And they actually, on their dining room chairs, some of them, they actually kept the 6-ounce tacks on the back.
Really?
Yeah. They put them all the way in. They weren't a pin tack. They put them all the way in, but that's how they did their chairs. Isn't that funny?
Now, do they keep them right next to each other?
No, they're spaced about an inch. That's a good question. They're spaced about an inch apart. And then when people ask me to redo them, we're actually now, it's a relatively new company. I like them. I think they're kind of cool.
I'll have to look for it tonight.
Look it up. But now that I'm reupholstering these chairs, people say, can you get rid of the tacks and just finish it like you normally would?
Wow.
So it's a trend. Trends come and go. We could talk more about that on another segment, but I wanted to talk about that. If I have time, because more people are asking about how we do business and how we estimate and how quickly that world is. That's a quick world, you guys. I'm getting a lot of inquiries, which I'm blessed. I'm happy about the inquiries I'm getting, but I do not get every inquiry. Every estimate that I give. I probably am at 50%. But that's, even when you look at 50% sales, you guys, that's good. I'll take that. You kidding me? I think in sales, if they say you get, it depends on what you're selling. If the higher the ticket item, the less volume you're going to have, right? So I guess if you're in retail, if you're selling, I don't know, shoes, for instance, I think 25% is good. So I'll take 50%. I think that's where I'm at. But I want to show you, if I have time on my phone, read some of the estimates and what I quoted out. I know people are really interested in pricing. So I hope I get to that. So I've actually created a lot of work here for myself. And we didn't think we were going to have a lot of subject, but we do. So I'll get to these 3 things, including Jimmy, in a minute. But right now, unless there's a question or comment, we always do that first. I'm going to start getting to some of the YouTube comments. So James Grady on the fixing. We got a lot of people asking about this fixing Grandma's needlepoint. This is part 2. Beautiful work. Thanks for sharing with us. That was just such an odd job. It was a lot of problem solving in that one. And the customer loved it. I explained to the customer how brittle the needlepoint was. The needlepoint was as old as the chair. So it was a little tricky. That was that chair with the asymmetrical hand-carved back that we featured, that rocker that we featured. And Gabrielle did a lot of research on that, Jimmy.
She does. She is.
Did you see that?
I'll have to hire her soon, I think.
Yeah, she posted an interesting one about leather. I didn't have a chance to say that. I think Jimmy knows about that. He could talk about that.
I think I saw that. We'll ask Jimmy maybe about that in a minute.
Mary tuning in from Queens. She has the email that you have in your hands there, Dad. A lot of cool questions.
Mary from Queens. I have a friend that was from Queens.
First time tuning in.
Really?
Yeah.
Queens. I always want to go to New York.
I know. Well, you've never been to New York. You're only in Boston.
I've been through New York. I never got a chance to really. I would love to go
to experience New York.
Yeah.
Wait a little bit for it.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
good.
Yeah, they might have a new governor soon, so,
Well, we don't get political, Jimmy.
oh, okay.
At least go when you can actually see stuff, and you know.
Yes, theater, the Rangers, the Mets, the Yankees, and,
So Margaret says on the same Needlepoint video, she said, that was fun to watch. Were you concerned about the fabric fraying? Also, what kind of glue are you using? I was afraid of it fraying. I told you it was a very dry fabric, and in hindsight, I might not have taken this job because it was risky. If I had ripped that needlepoint, I don't know about you, but my grandmother, she was tough. She was tough. I used to have to mow her lawn, and boy, she was really
you'd
tough.
be looking at this to make sure everything was cut.
If I didn't cut it right, I'd hear about it. But if I ever tore her needlepoint, boy,
You were off the will.
I was off.
But how much of a style was that way back when?
How much of what?
Needlepoint on the chair. Was that
Well,
just a fad, or was that?
Oh no, it's a traditional thing. I mean, it takes so long to do a needlepoint. Even people who are good, it takes hundreds of hours to do, one like this.
Okay.
I would say. So, if you look at that, it's just an outrageous amount of time that it takes. That's why it's a labor of love. And
Well, I think anything, you work with your hands, you're crocheting, knitting, or otherwise, it's time consuming.
one of the toughest football players that ever wore a uniform. And let's see if you can, before you say it.
I know.
Do you know who he used to do crochet? I just want to set it up, Jimmy, before you say it. So he was one of this big bad football player, right? And all the other guys were out there drinking and doing whatever they're going to do. And here he is in the corner crocheting, right? And knitting.
And you looked at this man, you'd say, absolutely anything you want.
So what was his name?
What was his first? I don't remember the first name. Greer was the last name.
Rosie.
Rosie Greer.
Rosie. That was his first name.
Yeah. So you never made fun of that
No.
either. Okay. This man was like.
He was tough.
He was, yeah.
And was he the one that wouldn't take an airplane ride anyway? Would only take the train?
No, that was John Madden, I think you think.
Oh, John Madden.
John Madden, the coach.
All right. Big tough guys sometimes don't want to do the simplest things, right, Jimmy?
Well, you know what? You never say, okay, you have it your way.
So the third one is redesigning a saddle seat from springs to foam. I'm going to take my glasses off. Question: saw you cut but not apply edge roll for back. How do you know to skip the edge roll on the back edge? If I'm not mistaken on that one, the back edge, the back rail was a little higher, and edge roll. That's the reason, probably. But another reason is the edge roll wasn't necessary on the back. I think the distance also between the back and the back rail was a consideration there. But we put edge roll to build up, and that's one reason. The other reason is to take the edge off the wood so that the fabric doesn't wear out. So the fabric really doesn't wear out on the back. You have not that issue, but you do on the sides and the front. So it's funny, and another poster might disagree with me. And I think another consideration was I didn't want to ruin that rail. It was too close. I was afraid I was going to hit it with my staple gun, or if I was using the hammer. I wasn't sure. It's another good reason not to do it. But other upholsterers might say, I want you guys to know that we all have different styles in this business. Other upholsterers might say, no, you do it no matter what. You find a way to get it on there because it needs to be consistent, But I have a theory: if it comes out the same and it's functional, a really good functionally, then you've done your job. If the end product looks great, right? So the next one is from Janine, and I want to thank Janine once again for being one of our best supporters, right, Patrick?
Yes, and
She-
all these submissions every week usually gives us a really good topic to talk about.
And we appreciate that because it keeps it going.
And this is a Jimmy compliment. Here.
Oh.
Jimmy, get ready.
Man, what?
Yeah, now we got his attention. Wait a minute, he popped his head up from all the fan mail that's
I just
around.
woke up over
We
the
just-
afternoon nap was just,
Now he's moving some of the fan mail. We see one from Alaska there. And Jimmy's head has popped up now because he heard he's about to get a compliment.
Twice. He's mentioned his name is mentioned twice, I think. In the
Really?
twice.
Don't say it because he'll ask for a raise.
Yeah. Let's do the math on that. What, 0 times?
The carved mahogany chair, week 2, lesson 2, deconstruction. I love you And oh, I'm
Wait,
sorry.
what?
Sorry, Janine.
You know, my head just went up now.
Like, what the heck? Who taught you how to read there? You want to put your glasses on for crying out loud.
I think Janine would appreciate
And
that.
Patrick, turn the lights back on.
It says, "I love how you and Jimmy talk about the history of the piece and how it's constructed. Jimmy never fails to ask the questions that I want to know too, and I always learn so much just from the first 10 minutes. So thanks, Jimmy. Keep doing a great job and keep asking those questions." Jimmy,
Yeah, what?
do you have a question now for me? Or,
Yeah, when is it my time to sit up there and do this?
I have a question for you.
Oh, okay.
I want to know what the wing velocity of a South African hummingbird is in a 60 mile an hour headwind. You should know that.
Oh, you've been watching those National Geographic videos
I
again,
watch a
huh?
lot of those. They're great.
Oh, yeah. Okay, all right. Why don't we just go back to that fly story again?
Oh, you know what?
Oh, God, please, no.
I was thinking about that fly story today. I was
You wanna
thinking,
tell your massive
it's
lie?
tied into this other thing I want to talk about later
Okay,
on.
go ahead.
We'll talk more about that later.
Okay.
So, caning to upholstery, conversion upholstery, and preserve the caning. This is from Elena. Your voice is very soothing, Jimmy. Thank you for your
You're
expertise.
so full of it. Really? No. So soothing.
Someone actually said that, but it's fine.
Somebody said that, but it was about me, Jimmy. I'm sorry. You need to work on your voice. You know what? Maybe
we have a word for that, but since this is a family show,
I'll have an adult education class
yeah,
for that.
yeah.
The first thing is I always make sure that I drink a chai tea latte
Oh.
from
I thought you were
a
gonna say
very
Chardonnay.
well-known coffee shop before we start. Right, Patrick?
I think you're going to say Chardonnay.
Yeah, and,
Shut it.
and yeah, is that the same place where you get my iced coffee? Not.
You you always come in with your iced
Yeah,
coffee.
because, well, you guys don't say, "Hey, Jim, what are you drinking today?"
You can have anything.
Yo,
Mine is yours.
yeah, Jim, we were just at, yeah, sorry, miss.
No, I find that when you start feeding people, they start coming. You can never get rid of them. I'm just kidding.
I'm sure your wife says the same thing.
Yeah.
Try to-
25 years later, or
Yeah.
28 years later.
Oh my God.
Bob is talking about how to upholster a dining room chair, part 3, padding and upholstering the seat. Really great video, exactly what I needed. Great. Do we have a question? Live? Not from,
No, but
not from Jimmy?
Deborah checking in, SG checking in.
Hey, Deborah. How are you? Where's she from, Pat?
I'm not sure.
Okay,
I
now,
mentioned it before, but
now we get quick tips fixing upholstery damaged by a pet. Now, that's a great segue. Did you hear the dog bark when I... Did you hear that,
our
Patrick?
mascot.
Your dog is very smart.
Yeah, I heard the word cat.
Th-
Do you hear that?
Thank you so very much. I appreciate the tip, and I will definitely use it. You know, it's just one of these. So they're quick tips. You know, we know it's not professional grade stuff. It's for homeowners who are trying to just extend the life of a chair or sofa, their favorite piece. You know, I mean, that's what we're trying to do. We provide those tips as well as the really good tips on the YouTube channel. So if you're you're looking at this, thank you for looking at YouTube. But if you want more in-depth things like Janine said it well, didn't she? She speaks well, Patrick. Mm-hmm. And she said it best with, she knows the difference between the online classes and the YouTube, tutorials. And I think that it's I want to say it's night and day with the content, I guess it is,
Do you want to talk about that comment before you leave the YouTube comments?
Yeah, you mean the hoop skirt, the hoop
Controversial comment.
You guys are gonna love this. So I on the 1860s chair that we did, we got a lot of comments on that, and we got a really negative. Patrick took it right off, and I said I wanted to use it, but I don't recall the exact comment, but it was something like this. I brought up the fact about hoop skirts, and it was 1860 Civil War era, and I was talking about hoop skirts. I don't even know what I said, Patrick. Oh, something about, I know what it was. It was that the Southern ladies, the Southern belles, did we get Jimmy's attention there? Southern belles,
Yes.
who wore the hoop skirts.
Yeah,
I didn't know anything about it.
I was listening when you said hoop skirts. I'm like,
I know that got your attention.
yes.
But they used to hide. I said I said they used to hide spies underneath the skirt.
I remember that.
Right? Do you
Yes.
remember that? Okay.
Yes, okay.
So we got a comment from somebody saying that, just, stop that. You never wore a hoop skirt yourself, so how do you know? And also, keep to the task at hand and upholster that shit.
Who sent that to you?
Sure, it doesn't matter. I thought it was cute. So I just, for kicks, so where did I hear that from? So I Googled today. I Googled, you guys should Google it too. Civil War hoop skirt spies. And you wouldn't believe what they smuggled in those things. Well, they're made out of, I didn't know
Plastic
that.
or something.
No, iron.
Wire.
No plastic back then. It was all metal.
Right.
There's a metal frame underneath
Solid,
that.
that's why
Right?
you never saw them collapse at all.
Right. So what I read today was they used to hang revolvers when they're smuggled to the southern lines who were losing the war at that point. They would tie the guns to the frame of the dress.
Because
Really
they were
cool.
wire.
They would everything was, they could smuggle almost anything in there. Clothing, boots, guns, papers, everything. So I started to think, also another comment that came in once. They said, they were talking about, don't you get bored? Because some of the work is tedious, Jimmy. Like you get a section that you got to take all the staples out of, you could be for hours. But that's where the tool that I use just to stay at task, and the radio doesn't do it a lot of times. It's just that you have to wander because your hands are working independently sometimes of your mind. If you can get to that point, the Japanese call it shibumi, which means a state of effortless perfection. Usually they were talking about the samurais, the samurais who would move with such fluidity that they would almost be out of body when they were doing it. So you can get
Samurai or ninja?
samurai.
Okay.
So you can get into that groove when you're working, which especially if you're working long hours. So you do invent stories. You do come up with stories. And I'm Irish, so telling me not to talk about a story, are you crazy? It's like telling a bird not to fly. Right?
Yeah,
Our Irish
yeah.
friends could tell us that. And in Ireland, the tradition was the storyteller. So before phones and before internet and before television,
And the newspapers.
they would have guys like me going around talking, God forbid, talking stories in the villages. And you would,
How about what percentage of the time was it true?
well, there's embellishment for sure, like the fly story, which brings up, but tell me something on the fly story, right? So I'm here at the shop. I have my stable gun. There's a fly bothering me all day, and I went, pew, and I shot him right. Now, how would this sound?
Speaking of pistols,
And I shot him in the closed circulatory system, and he fell on the ground.
Yes.
Now, doesn't that sound ridiculous? Wouldn't
Yes.
it be better to say you shot him right in the heart and he fell?
Well,
on
that's what you originally said.
That's what I said, but I didn't know.
You were corrected by a well-known fly expert. How did you know that she was going to be in your class on that day?
A well-known fly expert. She was in the house.
Well,
Get
didn't
it?
she-
Get it? She was in the house.
I got it. Didn't she kind of sternly talk to you about that? Meaning, like, how-
She did. She corrected me. I mean, when you think about it, it was silly. How can a fly have all the internal organs of a human being? I mean, hearts, lungs, liver. You can get that, Jimmy. Don't worry about the live show here.
No, don't
back to
worry about it.
the topic.
It's only my
again.
agent. That trailer is going to be out back by 5
Denise
o'clock.
left a very interesting post on the forum I gave to you there.
All right, so I got the Denise. You got Denise up there now,
Yes, I
Patrick?
do.
Forget about. Well, I did want to follow up with the hoop skirt story.
Yes.
I was finishing up there. I got
Okay,
distracted. Can I finish up
Yes,
that?
yes.
All right. So I'm doing the 1860s chairs. That was tedious. So I'm thinking to myself, we could take ourselves back into time. And I was inventing this story about how I went to Kansas City because the chair was in Kansas City. We found that out.
Okay.
So I went back into time. I took a steam engine train out to Kansas City. I had my tools with me. I had my utility belt. I had my two in my imagination. I had my two hammers, magnetic hammers hanging here, and I had my scissors and I had my threads. All of my tools. Yeah, that's how we did in the old days, Jimmy.
Yeah.
And I got off the train in the dusty town. It looks just like all those Wild Wests that you see. There's a tumbleweed goes by, and I have to go to the saloon, of course, because that's where I was told to meet Sally, Sally is the person who is the customer, right? Miss Sally.
Did you have a sarsaparilla?
No. So I go to I push the doors open of the saloon.
And they came back and hit you in the chest.
No, not yet. And I look around and boy, this was a tough crowd. There's a couple of people playing poker there, a couple of tables of poker, and there's a bar, and there's a couple of guys up there. And I went up to the bar, and I said, I'm here to see Miss Sally. And then
We all got up and walked.
and then I heard somebody say, "What you want with Miss Sally?" down at the end of the bar. I turned, and there was, I was told later, was Grizzly Gary at the end of the bar. And he had his gun already at me, man. And I said, "What's going on here? I'm just here to see Miss Sally. I'm upholstering her seat." Well, he didn't know what the word upholstering was. That got him even madder. And so he started to draw, and I had tacks, Jimmy. I threw the tacks in my mouth, and I spit the tacks at him. It was like a Gatling gun. And the tacks went boop, 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 all over before he could pull the trigger, right? And he looked down, he saw these little blood, he was okay, little blood stains, and the shock must have done something to him, and he fell. And I quickly went on him, and I sewed his cuffs together, and I looked up, and I said, now I can see Miss Sally. Where's Miss Sally's room? Miss Sally's room's up the stairs to the right, the first door on the right? So I go in, I knock, she says, enter, and I come in, and there's Miss Sally on a hoop skirt. She looks like she's about 4 feet tall. I said, what's going on here? Where's the chair you want me to upholster? She said, you'll see it soon. And she gave me a little, sarsaparilla, like you said. And then all of a sudden she got up, and there's the chair. She was sitting on the chair, as well as a lunch, as well as the fabric, and she said, you can get going now on upholstering the chair. Why do I bring this up?
I have no idea.
Because I had somebody ask me, do you get bored? Now, Jimmy, does that sound like somebody that's bored?
Well, definitely you need more arts and crafts time.
I'm sorry, you guys. Just, it's just fun. We're just having fun.
We can do an upholstery show. We'll see how far it goes.
But instead of, you can get bogged down, though, by saying, this is tedious. You'd be surprised. I've done it myself. You're looking at the job and saying, this will never end. There's no light at the end of this tunnel. I mean, with some of the big jobs. And you have to kind of put yourself in a different place while you're working.
Well, yeah. I mean, you've got to what I say is create atmosphere for yourself.
Exactly.
Your music. You're outside.
For some people, that works fine.
Yes.
Some
people have a different way a few times,
Right. I mean, I wouldn't recommend it for, driving a train or flying an airplane. I wouldn't want my pilot to be...
Can somebody take over from when I go on the back? Thank you.
I don't think I'd want my pilot to have a too active an imagination.
We had that at the sea. That's over.
But that Sully guy that landed that plane.
He was one of the rare breeds that...
He's now thinking about hoop skirts in 1860 when he's flying that 747.
I mean, maybe if your story kind of really astounded him, maybe.
I don't think so.
No? Okay.
He was such a professional, wasn't he? What a hero! What a hero!
So that addresses the controversial.
That's it for that now, you guys. Let's get to Denise's.
Yeah, let's get back to upholstery.
This is what happens to drop-in wire edge springs over time. Going to attempt to replace it with webbing and coil springs. The challenge is webbing. It correctly due to back rail is a different height from the others. The other problem too, you have a really problem with the width of the rail there, Denise, and how and the fact that it's sitting high off the ground. The reason you have a drop-in seat on this is to take off the webbing from the bottom of the chair. And I see that's not so much of a problem that she's showing me. What's more of a problem is how do you hide the fold of the webbing that's going to be almost out to the edge of the wood, of the finished wood. That's a bigger problem, okay? So in this case, if you're going to change out the springs, I mean, try to save them. If they don't look so bad to me, try to push. Sometimes you could push them up to get them straighter and then retie them. I think you're better off doing that in this case. So there are other problems that arise when you go to you don't have a skirt on this. So you're going to put cambric over the webbing if you did do it on the bottom, but you're going to see it's going to look like a bump Every webbing's going to look like a bump because you don't have the wood to work with there. So be careful there. So if you insist on getting rid of the springs, you might want to consider going from the top with the webbing and just doing all your work from the top of the frame. Does that make sense? Sorry, that's a long explanation for that, but there's other problems. And sometimes when you switch out something, you come into other problems, and that's the case with that. So the next one is...
I know Mary's been patiently waiting.
Is this Mary now, Patrick, with the email?
And there's a picture.
I've been using a YouTube video series showing, this is kind of a long email, you guys, showing the full restoration of the 1860s antique chair.
Back again.
You know, we don't do this stuff on purpose, but it's amazing how often the segues work, don't they, Patrick?
Yeah.
It just happens that way. The 1860s antique chair as a general guide for restoring an old Eastlake platform rocker that I have. The series has been wonderful and given me a lot of information as I find my way through the restoration. Thank you for making them and posting on your YouTube channel. I'm not a professional, and this is actually my first restoration upholstery project. Wow. And I'm having a great time, and I think it's coming out super. I'm almost ready to attach the fabric. Wow. But I have a question that I couldn't find in your video. Originally, the chair had fabric that was once continuous piece covering the entire back seat and backrest and seat. This is her chair she's talking about. I've attached pictures of what it looked like before so you can see what I mean. I'm wondering if you have any video showing how to get it taut and smooth when it's not continuous fabric piece, or do you have advice on approaching this? Well, I'm going to answer that quick. If you can do it in 2 sections, that's going to be the easier way. The only thing I could think of that your chair, it's an Eastlake, you said. Oh, it could be an Eastlake. I have to see the picture. Do I have the picture, Patrick?
Yep, it's the one next to that. I'm going to post it up now.
It's the next one? Just
Yep,
gonna take
it's
it.
yellow.
Ah, yeah, okay. It is some people call it a spoon rocker. Some people call it, that is a different type of an Eastlake rocker. Okay, I'll get to that in a minute. Those 2 links and many others look like either the fabric has been creased where the seat meets the back, or like it would or could potentially be 2 pieces of fabric, but it's hard to tell. I was wondering what you think. Is it 2 pieces or 1 continuous piece? Do you have any videos covering something similar? I can tell you I don't.
Well, Dad, this is an Eastlake. I was going to recommend the class.
Oh, the class. Yeah, she has to get the class because it's an Eastlake, but it's not. The class is, the thing about the Eastlake on the class, Patrick, is that it has a wood rail separating the seat from the inside back.
So it's not the same. Then.
But she can get a lot of information from that, certainly. But let's talk about her picture here. So when you talk about design, if she turned this sideways, you would have a side view on that, do you? No?
I've been up close to the front. No.
Not a side view?
No.
Well, I could tell that the wood is curved. And it's curved to accommodate, this is what it was supposed to look like, to accommodate a 1-piece seat and back. But I have to tell you, it's a very poor design. If you're going to try to, I could tell you also that it's probably seamed there, and you have to cut it out, almost like you would a slip cover. It's going to have curves. What you do is you have to cut it out and seam it, because you'll never be able to get all the wrinkles out if you just take 1 piece of fabric. And one of the real tips on this chair, any type of chair that has a curve like this, low profile, low profile, low profile. You can't build it out too much. If you look at this chair, it has hardly any padding on it. I bet there's probably maybe a horsehair layer and a cotton on this, and that's it. It's a very, very trimmed out look. The more padding you add to this, the harder it is going to be to pull all the wrinkles out. You've got a challenging job here, one. Now, that said, you can create a 2-piece on this. You can make the seat, you have to upholster the seat separately. Now, hopefully you have a wood rail, but I'm not having much information that I'm seeing on this, but hopefully there's a wood rail that separates the seat from the inside back that you can pull fabric through and have a definitive line, a line that, is supposed to be there. like most furniture, and make it into a two-seat, a seat and an inside back. So I hope that was helpful. I can tell that they also use a GIMP for this. This might be the original fabric on here, I'm not sure. But it looks like she's got some work to be done on that. Okay, so, any questions or comments? Boy, did I get off track there, Jimmy, with that
Oh my
story.
God, we
You
should
owe
have
people some tips.
Kevin Kennedy's story time. Tell her.
But you
how,
know, it was for a reason. You know the reason for it. You know, the
SG
tedious...
loved it. She was laughing along with it.
What was?
SG.
Oh, we gotta talk to her.
Thank you. All the support I can get, because we're getting a lot of criticism with these stories sometimes that we tell. And people, sometimes not everybody likes it.
Well,
right?
nobody, I don't think, watching now is like that. They all like it.
Yeah.
It's the random people here and there you'll get.
So, Jimmy,
Well,
I want to talk a little bit about these two projects and then have you up in a minute. But
a minute?
yeah.
Well, I'm out of here in 30 seconds.
Oh, come on, don't be. So we had, I have this sofa. I don't know if you want to. It's a really long
Mikhail, you want to
sofa.
pan up?
It's over here on its end. It's a really big sofa. It's a 4-seater, you guys. So I have 4 of these cushions. So that the seat on this was, I needed to retie the seat, and the customer felt like she was floating on the water. The cushions, she had down cushions and these big springs, and she felt like when you were sitting down, you were like getting seasick. So I had to stabilize the seat, and then we went. This is a little different because we put foam in the cushions, and I just wanted to show you the down cushions have had their life. They're gone. Somebody tried to Dacron wrap them, but they're leaking and everything else, and she's tired. But in this case, because the springs are so long, foam cushion on the spring is a good solution for her problem, and a less expensive solution too. So a lot of people don't want to pay for the down. So we have 2 basic fillings at the shop. I don't want to complicate it with my customers. I have a mid ultra foam that I use, a high density, and then I have either an all down and feather, 50% down, 50% feather cushion, or a spring and down feather wrap with the same 50-50. So I guess I have 3 cushions. I didn't think of it that way, but so for her solution was I just wanted to show you the difference, and I wanted to turn this aside just to show you what's going on with the side view of so you can see the difference here, the foam cushion, the new foam cushion, and the down cushion. And she was getting, just to show you down, she is like, when you compress this, you're talking about only about a 2-inch cushion by the time you're done. And down cushions are not a great idea on springs, because what happens is it puts a lot of pressure on the spring. So the life of a spring seat with down cushions is half the life. So we're going to extend the life by giving her new foam. So we're done with that. Now I'm really excited about the next one because we featured this last week. Now I know some people might not like the fabric choice, but the fabric choice is based on the great-granddaughter of this man. And for all you who weren't watching last week, this is a deacon's chair. It belonged to the Congregational Church. I believe it was in Connecticut. And this man's name, and I had permission to use his name, is Forrest Bushnell. And he died at 94, and I think he was born 1888. And in the 1950s, he inherited this chair. The church gave him this chair when he retired. So I think it's kind of cool. The great-granddaughter, she wanted to keep it, but she wanted to add a little of her own flair and little modernization, and she certainly did that, which is fine. But if you remember from last week, this was just literally just powder. There was hay in this, Jimmy.
Yes.
And it was just powder.
But I think that fabric gives it a modern look.
Yeah, I kept the leather piece back here. I kept that. Yeah, it modernizes it, and she can sit on it now. She can think about her great-grandfather. We don't think sometimes sentimentality when it comes to furniture is a big thing, is a big reason why people reupholster. I would say it's one of the biggest reasons why people reupholster. So you got to keep that in mind. So that said, it's very important to develop a rapport with your customers, to try to, because a lot of people don't want to give up that information about what a piece means to them readily, but it's actually helpful for me when I'm helping them choose fabric or design, things like that. So you kind of draw them out. Maybe they'll give you some information. You want to respect their privacy, of course.
Well, the arts and crafts chair is one from
That's another example.
from my grandmother's
Could you
house.
talk about that?
That chair was in my grandmother's house. It's probably a good 90 years, well, probably 80 years old. Totally stripped it down, refinished it, and now it's in my living room.
And you still have it, and every time you look at it, do you think of your
I
mother?
think of my grandmother. I think of all the times I went over the house. I used to do a lot of work for her, paint the fence and
Yeah.
cut the lawn, and it was a good time. I enjoyed it.
She would have loved the fact that it was in your house, that you restored it, and it's in the house, and people like Janine are watching it, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's always there's always a good history there. I mean, it was, you know, a little bit loose. The frame was a little bit loose.
Right.
I tightened it all up and made it better, and I'm glad it's there.
Well, thanks for sharing that. I think you told me that once, but I might have forgot that, you know, that was a family heirloom. It's a family heirloom.
Right.
So you're second, third generation
Mm-hmm.
to get it, and then
Yep.
if you pass that on to your kids, that will be fourth generation.
Yep.
So this is important to have these pieces in your family, I think.
I think it's a good time to remember how things were, and
Yeah.
you know, I remember my father talking about this and my mother talking about that, and you know, it's good. It's nice.
It's nice. So I think that's all I wanted to talk about there. There was one other thing. Oh, before I get to, I just need to check the time, you guys. Okay, I got enough time. I wanted to go over some of my correspondence here, business-wise, and just some of the inquiries I get are kind of interesting. And I might do this, I might incorporate this into the question and answers, because I get a variety of inquiries, and not all upholstery related. Like sometimes people call me, it's funny, before they get to the point, I've got a 1957 Chevy, I need the back seat upholstered, and they'll go on about the history of the car and everything else in a message, you know. And
Of a car?
oh, God, I don't do car upholstery,
So
so
that could you do? Have you ever done that?
I've done them. I don't particularly like it, because you're
That
dealing
would be-
more with clips and things like that. You're not dealing,
So that's
uh,
another set of tools?
it's a lot of stitching involved, there's a lot of pre-stitching that goes on with car seats.
Really?
And it can be very rewarding and satisfying, certainly, but it's just not my thing. One of the main problems is that you need at least a 2-bay garage to have
Yeah.
a shop that's going to be doing automobiles, and the insurance rates are really sky high.
Are they?
So there's kind of that's a block right there with the 2-bay garage. Those aren't easy to find
Yeah.
for rent or
especially,
sale.
especially around here.
Yeah, so that's a big block, but
That'd be interesting to do that, though.
yeah, it would be. It's satisfying work, I know that. So I just wanted to read some of these inquiries I get. There was one in here. Oh, guess what, you guys? This is funny. This is from Debbie, who owns this chair. I was wondering if there was a pickup date for my grandfather's chair
Where is
that
it?
you are reupholstering.
Where is
I
it?
haven't even had a chance to call her.
Oh,
So
well,
this
now-
just came in while we were talking about this.
Wow.
Isn't that something? And she's asking, should I write a check? And then she's asking about the price. I got $250 for this, you guys. $250. I don't mind telling you. Listen to this, though. She said, my parents are visiting and may be the ones to pick up the chair. It belonged to my father's grandfather, and he is anxious to see it. So it was her great-grandfather. Did I say great-grandfather? I did,
I
right?
thought you did.
And he is anxious to see it.
Wow.
Isn't that something?
Wow. There you go. Now you're going to have his memories coming back.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's great. And I didn't set this up, you guys. This just happens, you know. Let me see. I've got. Oh, this is an interesting one from Daniel. He's asking me. Let's see. He was asking me about an antique barber chair that he has. I just want to show. Look at this, you guys. I can show this, Patrick. How does this show on the camera, Pat? How does that look? Can you
No, it's too bright. Go a little bit closer.
closer? No.
There we go.
So you guys, that is an antique barber shop. Maybe it was in Kansas City in 1860, Jimmy.
You
What
said
do you
that
think?
again? You want to take a field trip? We should get, you know,
Touch the screen.
What is it?
It's going dark.
What?
The
It
screen
went
is going
dark.
dark.
Oh, the screen went. There it is. So that chair, he's just asking me about reupholstering the seat. I don't particularly like partial jobs, but I gave him an estimate. He wants to do leather. Problem with leather on this, he needs a half a high, Jimmy, on this,
So how much is
25
that?
square feet. That's about about $800 just in leather. just for the seat. And I gave him a labor cost because that needs to be restored. But as you can see, you guys, that's the only thing that needs to be done, it looks like, is the seat. It looks like there's been some real heavy damage.
But wouldn't you want to see what it kind of make it all kind of complimentary if you did that again?
Well, he needs a distressed leather. That's what I recommended. He get his own distressed leather. So that's another example. So I get these. It keeps it interesting with all these different.
I love it. If he did that over, that would be wow.
Yeah. So
Think
Denise
you
wants to
actually
know
gonna
what
bring it in
springs were
here?
used.
what springs were
I
used
think the other chair she was talking about.
for this one?
I think so.
Drop-in unit, you guys. Who's the one that had the drop-in unit? So here it is, you guys. The drop-in unit is used. Like I was talking, this is perfect. Was it Denise that had the other one?
Are you talking
drop-in?
about the Facebook submission?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was her.
You see how thin? This is a very narrow rail. So the drop-in from the top is used so that you don't have to. The only thing you have to put on the bottom is the cambric. It's the cambric, the black dust cover. So everything's done at the top. So if you're using the webbing's very heavy. You have to fold it, and you can see it. You're going to be able to see it. It's not good. So I would strongly recommend that she use the drop-in unit if she can. But look at how beautiful and clean that looks. See how nice and clean that line is, Jimmy? Jimmy's not looking. He's doing something else. I must have bored him to death. Let's just get through a couple more of
I'm
these.
looking at Kansas City, trips to Kansas City by Amtrak.
See, Jimmy, I got you in my dream. Let's get to another one. Oh, okay. I have an inquiry from somebody from a French lady who I've done work for. She says, "Hi, it's been a long time and I hope you are well. I have a question. How much would it cost to reupholster this ottoman? The dimensions are included in the description, the link below." I'm going to show you the ottoman that she's asking about. Look at this, you guys. That's a tufted ottoman. Those are expensive. Those are a lot of time, Jimmy. Did it go out? Oh, brother. What did they do? Did they see any of it? Let's see. Right there, okay? So that I estimated $750 labor, you guys, because I know that that's going to take me a long time, and 2.5 yards of fabric, right? So I'm trying to give you an idea of what, I'll do another one of these and then I'll have Jimmy come up. If, your feedback, you guys, if you like a segment, let us know. We'll continue the segments. I know that people love the Jimmy segment at the end, right, Patrick?
Yes.
They want to keep that going. Your feedback is really important. That's what makes the live question and answer what it is, right, Patrick?
Absolutely.
So, Jimmy, if you like this, what I'm doing now, I can do a 20-minute segment on this. I'm only going to do another one or two, just to give you an idea what this could be like. Let me get to another estimate. Okay, this is something that might come up. So this was an estimate for repairing a sectional. So this gentleman had a sectional that was from a low-end manufacturer, and he had cushions that were stitched and buttoned, seat cushions. Well, it's never a good idea to put buttons in cushions, and it's really not a good idea to put stitching and buttons in cushions, because he was asking me to repair it. I do some repairs. And I think we have somebody, one of our friends, Patrick Blair. Blair is making is building a business on this type of repair. I'm not sure if he could have done this though, because, for the price, it would have been a fortune for me to try to fix this. Because what happened, Jimmy, was not only did the buttons pop on the seat after a very little time, but the stitching came undone on the seat, and you have to take the whole thing apart to restitch it. So at that point, it's not worth it. So.
I never heard of buttons on the seat though.
Yeah, well, you see, it's just a bad, the older Chesterfields, Chesterfield sofas had the tufted buttons, and that was a bad idea too. They keep popping out.
Well,
Even
a new
good
design,
ones.
a new wow look.
Yep. So if you guys like that segment, I actually have hundreds of these we could talk about, and I think for people maybe who are trying to open up their own shops or trying to get their footing on pricing, it might be a good thing, or what their business model might be. So if you have a business model of repairing furniture, I could tell you that you're going to be on the road a lot. But there's sometimes the repairs can be lucrative. You can do that. I think that's what Blair did. If you want to be just a straight upholstery shop and be more stationary, these estimates might help you. It might give you a direction on which way to go here. On if you're gonna take it up to that next level, right? Of an upholstery shop. That's what I'm saying. So Jimmy, why don't you come on up here now, Jimmy? I know that you've been waiting. Now, have those people move out of the aisles.
Yeah. And the concession
That's
stand.
what to tell you. Don't come up so fast. Make believe you.
Oh, I'm
believe you're going
sorry.
through the crowd.
Like I tripped over myself on the way up. Yeah, okay, got that. I'll do
You're
that.
too quick. You
Yeah,
gotta know
well,
you're by yourself.
Well, you know,
over there.
by the time, I've been here so long, I should have the first seat of the first row. But well, no, you still stick me in back. But thank
Right,
you.
it's like in the Beverage, but somehow you get down here really fast. It doesn't matter.
Well, I have a little bit of energy left. I just had the iced coffee, so I'm good to go.
Good, the iced coffee that I didn't buy you.
Yeah, well, I just don't want to say anything about that. It's not in the budget, obviously. So.
Can we see this love seat here, Michaela? Is this in the frame?
The top of it is.
If we could go to, if we can get, Jimmy, if you can move that cover, just to let people see. Who told you to put it there?
Hey, you're in trouble. Why do I listen to you?
I told him to put it
Are
there.
you this way at home? I'm going to call your wife up and say, Kevin is being obnoxious again. Can you do something about him?
It's part of my nature, Jimmy.
Oh, yeah.
We like to have fun.
She must tell you, why don't you work a second job?
Well, there's some skill involved in you and I have a different thing going, right?
Okay.
But as far as the jovial level, it's up here.
Yeah.
But when I was in the teaching as a therapy, you had to be careful not to cross too many lines there.
Yeah, you kind of had to be.
But you had to keep it. I find though that people, and I hope this translates into the YouTube and the online classes.
Okay.
I find most people like a light nature,
Sense of humor.
but a light and welcoming and just I think it just makes for better learning. But it's a fine line. I mean, you don't want to be telling what's that Jackie Mason jokes. That's not good.
Yeah.
I
I never liked him anyway.
But anyhow, so I want to show people. Why don't you explain yourself?
No,
what
go
we did
ahead.
today?
We can
No, I'd
explain
like you
it.
to-
Well, you did the stitching, so I think you should kind of get into it a little bit.
So Jimmy and I, we both were doing it because I was asking him to hand me the pieces while I was sewing. We don't get, on the online classes, I should tell you guys, we don't get into too much sewing. We have these slip covers that we're offering where there's plenty of sewing and there's plenty of fitting. And I do on some of them, Patrick, we've gone through the cushions on which one online class has the cushions, Patrick, that we sewed.
That was Jimmy's class. the arts
Jimmy's
and
and
crafts.
Michelle's, right?
Yeah, Bernice showed up in the last class.
Right.
His arts and crafts chair.
That's right.
Yeah.
So we go into a lot of detail with the cushions on those online classes for sure. But if you're upholstering, you realize that you're working on a bench most of the time, right, Jimmy?
Yeah.
So what we did today is, the week before we fitted, we cut them to fit, and today we sewed them,
Right.
almost all of them. So the first thing we did was Jimmy cut the piping out. I sewed the piping, and then I sewed both of the pipings coming up here on the vertical onto the inside back first. And then I had Jimmy hand me each one of these. We didn't pin them.
No.
You don't always have to pin, although some people like pinning,
Well,
some beginners
so
like it. And we sewed these on the inside arms, and then we sewed the piping on the bottom. So
Okay.
why don't you explain to people what's going to happen next with the
Well, today we cut out what Kevin calls the stretcher, and that's going to be put on the bottom here,
show them.
if we can do it.
Here's a piece here.
And this is going to get attached. This is going to get sewn,
Yeah,
correct? So
yeah.
it's going to go all the way around, and what's going to happen is we're going to be able to,
We're going to actually, when we sew it, Jimmy,
yeah,
we're going to actually pleat this. We're going to pleat this like this, really close pleats. And what that does, especially around the curves, it gives you more to pull. It gives you a tighter pull.
okay.
But it has a way of taking the wrinkles out from the inside cover.
So-
It gives you that more of a pull that a lot of it can come out. A lot of the
So
wrinkles.
this will be more form-fitting then?
Yes,
It'll
you
have
may
that-
not see any wrinkles in this at all.
Wow.
The only wrinkles that could be there would be near the bottom, and the cushion is a down cushion, will cover most of them. But our goal always going into it is to eliminate every wrinkle that we can.
Okay.
Now, some fabrics don't allow you to do that. And sometimes the choice of color doesn't allow you to do that. So all you guys looking at this right now, for instance, a white velvet is the worst you can use. A white velvet, a white fabric will show every little pocket. Just think about your shades
Okay.
at home, you know,
It'll
your
be-
white shades.
Okay.
You can see everything. So the more color or the more busy pattern that you have, even if the wrinkles are there, you can't see them.
Okay.
So some fabric fibers do better than others too.
Okay.
Like wool really does a good job at pulling out around curves. For instance,
Okay.
you were going to ask a question.
Well, it was because of the pleat. Now, this is the first. I mean, this settee is something that I never imagined how much work this was going to be
Right.
with the decking and especially the back. I mean, considering it was all stripped down to nothing, basically. We only had the springs in the frame.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
I mean, to have all this said and done now is like, oh my God, it's overwhelming.
Yeah. But now,
really is.
when you put this up here and you feel it back here like this, feels good, doesn't it?
It does. I mean, you can see that it's starting to shape, and like you say, we'll tack it up here, right?
Yep.
And then stretch it on the bottom and bring it back to how we ever. I mean, this
There's
is the first
and then that magic word, those two words, pin tacking, right?
Oh.
There's a lot of pin tacking in this to get it right.
Okay.
I mean, your first pin tacking is not the final pin tacking.
so it's back and forth for a little
Yeah.
bit. Okay.
Especially at the bottom, and especially towards the. You'll see there's a step-by-step process to putting it on. Even though this is what trips people up a lot, you spend a lot of time on a fitted back like this, and you think it's going to upholster itself. It's just the opposite.
Well, because I mean, the intimidating part is the corners, because
Right.
you had to,
Right.
you know, with the foam alone and with everybody seeing how it was. I had
Actually,
no,
let people see the foam. You see how nice that this was. I don't even know if they can see the seams at home, but this was seamed, and you can hardly see it. And there's
No.
no wrinkles. It's almost like you was molded it. It's one nice continuous piece.
right. We angled it right, and we glued it, which again, the first time ever doing something like this for me.
Right.
So this was like a definitely. This definitely, if you buy this lesson, it's definitely worth the money.
Thank
Really,
you, Jimmy.
it's-
And I think with that, I'm going to leave, and I'm going to give you the spotlight. And remember, Jimmy, union rules. Keep to the union rules. You
Oh,
want to
no,
keep
no,
it clean.
no Irish jokes.
No Irish jokes like that
Oh,
other
well.
corny guy that's leaving the stage right now.
That's what I say. The consensus seems like everyone likes the stories, Dad.
Oh, good.
Oh no! Don't encourage him, people, please.
Don't encourage him.
Yes. So anyway, next week we will be finishing up the bottom of the settee, and we'll be showing you a little bit more, especially when we have it all tacked out and hopefully stapled up. And hopefully everyone will be here next week for that. And hopefully everyone will have a good week and a good weekend. Take care. Bye.
Good.